Before you watch this episode of our cityCURRENT radio show, I want to invite you to join cityCURRENT's e-learning and online personal development platform called GrowthCurrent. I'm Jeremy Park, host of the cityCURRENT radio show and CEO of cityCURRENT. GrowthCurrent is your exclusive ticket to attend virtual events with global thought leaders, national guest speakers, and experts who can help you grow personally and professionally. It gives you access to success secrets, lessons learned, learning modules, and so much more. Being online, you can join us from anywhere in the world. Subscriptions are only $8 a month, or you can do bulk subscriptions for your team. Check out growthcurrent.com to learn more and to join us in our efforts to power the good. And now, on to the show. Welcome to the cityCURRENT radio show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, powering the good in our community. And we're going to kick it off talking about our lovable furry animals and pets and taking good care of them. Here with us, we have Lindsay Frierson. She's the public relations specialist with PAWS, and also Baileigh Back Foster, who is the foster and volunteer coordinator, obviously both with PAWS. And PAWS is an acronym. We'll talk about what that means and all that goodness, but let's start with, how are you two lovely ladies doing?
We're doing pretty good. Good night.
You are all masked up because we obviously want to be safe. And so thank you for everything that you all are doing on your end. But let's start, give us a little bit of history lesson for PAWS. And actually, let's start out with what PAWS, the acronym, means. So go ahead and give us some background on PAWS.
Yeah, absolutely. So PAWS stands for Pet Adoption and Welfare Services. We've been here at this building since about 2005, 2006. It actually was formerly called just Rutherford County Rabies Control. It was located at a different building, much smaller, where they definitely did a few pet adoptions and things like that, but the focus was a little bit different. Their services were a little bit limited because of the number of people that they had in their facility. So they had, long story short, they had things called animal drop-off boxes where people could simply just put an animal in a bin, and the animal control officers and staff that work there would have to go through and get them out. So the awesome community said, hey, I think we should establish something much different. And that's kind of how PAWS started the building here and started all the different services and awesome programs that it now has today.
Yeah, and you all do so much, obviously centered around taking good care of our loved ones, our animals. And so describe kind of in a brief context, from advocacy to spaying and neutering. Give us a little bit the adoptions, obviously. Walk us through kind of the highlights, and then we'll dive into each of the threads individually.
Yeah, so PAWS has a lot going on. We do serve as animal control for all of Rutherford County. So as far as investigations, it could just be a stray animal running around that someone's concerned about, wants to make sure it gets back to its owner. We do unfortunately get some calls about people being bitten, and then we have to follow up on rabies. So that's some of the more serious things. Our animal control officers may have to go to court. Again, that's some of the more serious issues that we run against. But also, we're a pet adoption agency. So really anyone, we've had people from Kentucky, Georgia, Nashville, surrounding areas come and adopt pets from us. We typically have lots of cats and dogs, but we do anything domestic. So we've actually adopted out horses before, goats, pigs. Some of the more interesting ones that I've seen while I've been here, we had 10 sugar gliders, like flying squirrels, come into the shelter. We had a tank of fish that someone actually abandoned at a home. So we adopted out a tank of fish. So we get some pretty odd things here. Again, if it's a domestic animal in Rutherford County, we can respond to that at really any time. So we do pet adoptions. You just have to be 18 or older, and of course be approved through the process, but we accept pet adoptions from anyone that's interested.
Let's go ahead and stay on that thread, because Fridays are special with that as well. Yeah. So talk about just kind of the process, and obviously with Fridays, what that means as well.
Yeah, so Fridays, we call it Free for All Fridays. We had an awesome grant through Petco Foundation. They give lots of different grants and opportunities, and we were funded. Basically, pet adoptions are completely already paid for every Friday. It's about a year-long program and grant that we have for them. So it's only been a few or so months in. So well into the next year, we'll have this program growing every Friday. Any animal that is currently available for adoption. So when we say available, that means after you have been approved on the spot with us, you can actually take the animal home with you. So any animal that's available that day to go home, the adoption fees are waived, and that's every Friday that the shelter is open, which we're open every day, but general holidays. And again, that's just because Petco Foundation has already paid for the adoptions. That includes them being spayed or neutered, given all their rabies vaccine, all the appropriate vaccinations. and even food samples and things like that we give out to go home with them as well.
Nice. Let's go ahead and jump over to the spay and neuter side. So walk us through your services there.
Yeah, so spay and neuter, we have been through many different programs and grants throughout the years, but I would say going on at least 3 years now, we have a fully funded free spay and neuter program for all Rutherford County residents. In the past, it was per income. It was just for cats, just for dogs, just for females, different things like that. But it is for all cats, all dogs, male or female, at appropriate age, which is usually around, I would say, it's more on their weight and their health, but around 8 weeks is average as the youngest. But if you live in Rutherford County or Rutherford County resident for no reason at all, you just want to get your pet fixed, you can bring it here to the shelter, apply, and you can get the pet spayed or neutered for free. And it also includes a free rabies vaccine if needed.
Nice. Talk about the wider context of that in terms of not really just population control, but I view, what you do when you have stray animals. In many cases, it can be perceived as, it's an unsafe area. And so you have that aspect of just what I would say crime prevention, beautification, city pride. But then you have the safety, like you're talking about, not only for the animals, but for the citizens as well. And so talk about kind of the ripple effect of what you're creating of public safety, pride, really just safety for the animals as well, and care and love. So take it from a community aspect in terms of the work you do. Yeah,
so again, many different programs go into this. Ultimately, I know spay and neuter is definitely on the top of our list. That reduces, the overpopulation of animals. There's not just tons of animals. There actually is quite an overpopulation of animals, not only in our area, but really all over the nation. So first, spay and neutering your pet just avoids unwanted litters and litters that are going to have to fight to find homes. Or in a recent case for us, the mom passed away for birth, and we had pets that were barely, had their eyes open, that we had to rush to find people to help us. And we thankfully did. The community was awesome. This just happened like yesterday. We found people to run in and help. But that is that's not a situation you want to be in a lot, where you're like, oh, can we get people to help make sure this pet's okay? So things like that, spay and neutering your pets can help prevent issues like that happening. It also actually prevents certain cancers and health things happening for your own pets. And then again, we see things like we have a big feral population here in our area. So spay and neutering, your cats, so they don't go out and they're not mating and they're having pets that become potentially feral. And that can be a safety issue because they might bite someone, they might have the rabies virus. So there's a lot that goes into that. And like you said, we have people calling the area is becoming very popular in Middle Tennessee. We're building everywhere. So pets are finding less places to live and thrive. So if we're not spaying, neutering, and kind of getting a handle on that population, we're going to see these 20, 30 cat colonies, on school grounds. We get calls about, schools and children seeing tons of animals. And so, as you said, it really all ties in together. We have programs like our Barn Cat Community Cat Program, where we're fixing pets that were already kind of outside, but now they will no longer reproduce. They're given their rabies vaccine, so they're safe to be out around other animals and people. But also instead of euthanizing the cats, they can still live and thrive, but we know that they're no longer going to reproduce and kind of keep the cycle going.
Yeah. Give a little bit on the microchip side.
Yeah, absolutely. Baileigh?
We do microchipping for $15 here at PAWS, and we are really, really excited about it. One of the main things that we find when we have animals come into the shelter is that we don't know who they belong to. Sometimes they'll have tags, and even those tags won't have correct numbers. They'll have names, but no addresses, so we don't really have much to go on. But if an animal comes in and has a microchip, we can locate that owner immediately, call them immediately, and get them over to get their dogs back or cats. And we do it for $15. It's a lifetime guarantee. They wouldn't have to pay anything extra over the year. And it's a fantastic program that we have for microchips with Home Again.
We'd like to see more people participate in that as well. We don't see as many people getting their pets microchipped, but it's very important. We have some people that we've even been able to give people who found the pet, the owner's information. The pet doesn't even have to hit the door at the shelter. We do vaccinate our animals to make sure that they don't spread diseases, but that is always a risk when an animal enters the shelter. That's just something you don't want a pet to have to, enter the shelter if possible. So the microchips also help those who are finding pets get them back to their owners as well.
Yeah, and I feel like a big part of that is simply raising awareness, like we're talking about, on just the importance of it and what it can do to safeguard your pet. Give a little bit on the resource desk, because you have a pet resource desk that really is helping people make sure that they have everything that they need to be successful.
Yeah, the pet resource desk is awesome. It's actually something that we started, 2 years ago now?
So 2018.
About two years. So before it used to be where people could just show up with their animals and we would have a line down the building for people to surrender their animals. With the pet resource desk, we have a scheduled plan now for animals to come in, and we can also offer advice on how they may be able to keep their animals. Like if their cat is not using the litter box, there could be several reasons for them not to be using the litter box. It could be veterinary. They may not like the litter. They may not like the area, and we offer simple advice and quick tips on how they could possibly keep the animal instead of bringing it into a really stressful shelter environment. So that's one of the great things about the pet resource desk is we have multiple trained people who have multiple areas of advice where they can give. We can offer trainers, we can offer veterinary services in the area, and it's been really successful so far, and it has really limited our numbers intake in the shelter.
Everyone needs a pet whisperer. So what is my dog telling me that I don't know?
Right.
Talk about volunteerism and the ways that the community can help your efforts.
Yeah, I'll let Baileigh take this
goodness.
because
how can the community help?
We need fosters, fosters.
Yes, as we were talking about before, spay and neuter your pets, because we are almost overwhelmed every year with kittens and puppies that are orphaned. A lot of the times people will just be walking by and find some kittens and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go, and they come straight to us, and usually they're between, a week and 6 weeks. They still need someone to care for them and take care of them until they're fully formed and so they'll old enough for surgery and adoption. That's where our fosters come in. So basically when we have animals that come in, we can put them in homes immediately and have them gain weight and stay healthy and be in a home environment where they can learn, the rules to home in the litter box and meeting children, meeting other animals, and get used to that process. And by the time they come back to us and they're ready to have their surgery, they're ready to go home the next day. And it really speeds up our process. It keeps our space really limited in the shelter as well, because they're out there in homes where they're being successful and learning how to be cats and puppies and dogs. And right now we have a few fosters, but we could really use a lot more, especially before next year when we hit kitten season and puppy season. We were talking about before, we had those puppies come in. They were 2 weeks old and the mother passed away. She wasn't spayed. She was 14 years old. So it was a surprise to everybody, and the mother passed away after childbirth. And luckily, like we said, the community all came together and we found several people to take them, and they're happy and they're eating every 3 hours. And it's going to take a lot of time and effort, but I really think with more people, we could really create an awesome foster program where we won't have to have as many neonates and orphan animals in the shelter, and they could be growing and thriving in homes until they're ready.
What sort of requirements, when you talk about being a foster parent, what sort of requirements or what goes into that people need to know?
Okay, so we have to have Rutherford County residents as fosters. Obviously, if there's an emergency and they need to come to the shelter where our vet is, we need them to be close by. So only Rutherford County residents obviously have to be over 18, but there can be children in the home, to care and get them socialized. And we need all the animals in the home, dogs and cats, to be current on a rabies vaccine as well. And as for experience, I can pretty much teach you anything you need to know about fostering, bottle feeding and socialization and all that good stuff. And we also provide most of the supplies for it as well.
Nice. Yeah, that's a huge plus. What has the pandemic done on your end? So obviously it's been difficult for everyone, especially nonprofits, but what's been the impact from the pandemic on your end?
On the foster end?
Well, just foster and just for
in
foster
general?
overall.
Oh, goodness. Actually, one of the pluses of it is a lot of people have more time for animals. We've seen a lot of increase in adoptions lately because people just have more time. And also they have more time to foster, which is really helpful. People are working from home and they have time to take care of these kittens and feed puppies every 3 hours like they need to be. So that's the plus side on it. What negative?
I would say the negative part of it is unfortunately people have, lost income and things are different in their life. So we have had a few people unfortunately have to surrender because they can no longer care for their pets. We do have a food assistance program. So we have people that will donate, food. A lot of times it's new, unopened food, but sometimes we do have some food that may have been open that someone just couldn't use. So if the main issue is you cannot feed your pets, we actually are able to help you supply that food. And so you can keep your pet in the home. Again, it limits the amount of animals in the shelter, but also people can keep their pets, which is the ultimate thing. We want people to still be able to keep their pets and love their pets so that they can, continue to love and care for their pets. So that's one option, but it is one obstacle that we've unfortunately seen. And also due to COVID and things like that, we have had restrictions on volunteers as far as entering the building, we can take as many fosters as possible. So that's been a little bit of a struggle for us as well. We haven't been able to participate in a lot of offsite events or bring as many volunteers in. We're getting to that point where we're slowly bringing volunteers for regular in-shelter care, but that's been an obstacle as well.
And then obviously for what you do, financial contributions are important to underwrite your efforts because that's a big part of it too. So that is an easy way for the community to support your efforts. Talk about website, social media, phone numbers. What sort of information do we all need to know in terms of reaching out and being in the loop?
Yeah, so we do respond to lots of emergencies and calls in our area. So we do like to let people know you can definitely call us. We have a pretty speedy response time, but there may be times that you have to leave a message because we all are just on the phone with other callers, or a lot of us do phone/care for animals at the same time. So we're back and forth. So we do just ask for patience for that. But you can also message us on Facebook. We're at Rutherford County PAWS on Facebook and on Instagram. You're actually welcome to message us on Instagram as well. We do respond to that. And then our website is www.paws.rutherfordcountytn.gov. Again, you can find the information on our Facebook or Instagram pages. We quickly pop up when you Google Rutherford County PAWS as well to find us. But yeah, we're actually open 7 days a week, Sunday through Saturday. We have hours in place for different services as far as vaccinations and adoption and surrender and things as such. But we're open 7 days a week for adoptions and people that need to come in to check to see if their pet's here and to, of course, hopefully reclaim and take their pet home outside of holidays. So there's lots of opportunities to visit the shelter and support.
Well, Lindsay, Baileigh, thank you for all you and your team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.